Okay. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tracy Going with the Flow. And I want to thank you so much for stopping by our channel to just check us out and check in on us. Today, I'm so excited. I have a very good friend of mine, Javina Suttle
Odunze.
Odunze. Okay. And this young lady, this beautiful young lady is a friend of mine from high school, and we reconnected um, just recently, and I've been so blessed by her, and I just wanted to bring her on and introduce her to the world. Javina describes herself as a former people pleaser. And I can relate to that to a degree because um, I I don't know if I please people or just was trying to please my family, but I
Mhm.
could relate to that. So, Javina and I have been talking for a while, and we decided to go on and share some of our conversation. And so, I am going to let Javina tell you who she is. And I've shared who she is to me, very special, special person. And now I want her to share who she is. And I'm before she starts, I'm gonna tell you guys, we joke and talk a lot. We have always have good conversation. And I did tell her that I am of the age of where I put the glasses on to see and have to take them off to see. So I'm about to take the glasses off now. And so just so you know, you're gonna see me during the course of this interview putting them on and taking them off. All right, Javina, go ahead and tell the people who you are.
Well, hello, everyone. My name again. Tracy did an excellent job of introducing me, and very flattered, very thankful, and very humbled. I am Javina Suttle-Odunze, born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, military family. Um, Come from a military family. Almost all the men in my family served respectfully in armed forces for this country. I'm very proud of that. From a very spiritual, religious background, grew up. I'm the oldest of my siblings. Um, I am uh, a mother to a phenomenal woman. Uh, Jasmine, who has uh, changed my world around. I was a teenage mother. I like literally had my daughter. I graduated from high school. I was pregnant, got pregnant with my daughter in high school, graduated from high school pregnant, had my daughter and was in the university and uh, planted seeds of uh, desire to be better than what we were yesterday and gave her roots and wings. And she took those roots and wings and flew and still continues to soar. So grateful for the woman that my daughter is and who she's evolving into, and being able to watch that and see the grace of God on a mother, on a woman who, as I said, was a teenage mother. I am a grandmother to a wonderful young king who has made my life better each and every day to be his grandmother. He drives me crazy. He's eating us out of house and home. So if y'all know somebody, come send somebody to help us feed this boy. 14, 6 feet tall and 200 some odd pounds. So yes, he plays football, and we are a football family. I am a wife. I married late in life, married a man who sees me, who loves me, and who cherishes me. Um, Neither one of us are perfect, but we are humble and glad and thankful for the union between us and for what God is doing to us and through us. Um, I'm an aunt. I'm a friend. I'm a daughter. Uh, I'm an employee. I'm a humble follower of Jesus Christ. a woman who has been broken humbly and not so happily, a woman who has learned to love and accept herself, embrace every bit of who she is. Um, my nephew used to call us thick madams. I am a thick madam and have been one. I'm a woman who has learned how to accept and evolve the ever changing scope of who I am, whose I am, and what I am. I'm a worshiper. I'm a uh, person who believes that you can learn something from anybody. Um, I'm a woman who is still evolving and humbly saying yes to learning and growing. Um, I am uh, very, very grateful and very, very thankful, but still evolving. Um, Javina. My family and friends. Uh, I have a childhood name, nickname that people still call me. If I hear it, I know they know me from back home in Wisconsin. I now live in Richmond, Texas with my family. We're very blessed to be here. We were fortunate. We just went through some bad weather, but we were not touched by the grace of God. But originally from Wisconsin, I am a diehard Green Bay Packer fan, and I will be one. I don't care where I live or where I go. I will always green and gold, baby. Go Pack, go. So you can imagine me being in Texas and some of the conversations I've had to have with clients and people that we've met. And I've had people say to me, I like you, but I don't like the fact that you're a Green Bay Packer fan. I can't stand the Packer. I don't care. Green and gold, baby. Even my grandson to fight with him. Um,
You know, we honor loyalty though. We
that's
do.
right.
We value loyalty, so that's
That's
all
right.
right. Don't switch up. Don't switch
Mm-mm.
up.
Hey, there ain't a team out there that can make me switch up, and there ain't a person. So I just say to them, "Hey, we gonna agree to disagree." But when it comes to my
Hmm.
Packers, that's where I draw the line. Love the Bucks.
Yes.
Love anything Wisconsin. I hate the cold, so I only come home when it's warm, or if I have to, I come and I dip in and out if it's cold.
Yes.
I'm a simple person, but simple, but with complexities. So um, I am so grateful for this opportunity. I hope that I'm able to share some of my life experience. Um, I'm unashamed of who I am. And so at this point, I'm in that phase where take me as I am. If not, it's okay. I'm an African American woman who has struggled with her hair and has finally accepted that the curls that I have on my head point up to God, and I've had to learn.
Beautiful.
So that's a little bit about me. I think that's a lot. I'm an
You know
educator.
what?
Yeah.
That's that's all right. That's all right. Because for the individuals that this is for,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be just the right amount. Just the right amount. So I have started a community on my website called Second Chancers. And Second Chancers is for people who are starting over, but not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily starting from scratch. They are in a different season, a different chapter of life. People who have experienced some things in life, but they're, they're moving on. They're doing something new. Whether they're divorced, remarried, widowed, remarried, empty nesters, changing careers,
Mm-hmm.
life after caregiving, something
Mm-hmm.
is new for them in this stage of their life. And so one of the reasons I wanted to interview you is because you fascinate me. You're so resilient. And I want you to tell our viewers what season of life are you in now? What are some things for you now that you're in a different place, but you've had multiple seasons. And I want you to share some of that with our viewers.
Sure. So. I find myself in the season of rebuilding. I'm a newlywed. I just got married for the very first time in my 50s last year. So I'm a newlywed. I'm in the stages in between. I'm in that spot where I've been a caregiver. I was a caregiver for my mother for years. My mother passed Christmas Eve 2022.
Mm.
So I'm in that stage where I've cared for one parent. I have another parent who is still alive, and I'm telling you that old soldier might live forever if he had it his way. Um, I still am a caregiver. I still am. I'm in between. So I'm in the place where, as I said, I just got married. Um, Reside in a home with my daughter and my grandson. We are doing that for a few more months, and we've now decided to. She's ready to. Her and my grandson are going to go and get their place, and my husband and I are going to move on and get our place. Uh, I'm in that season of change, constant change,
Mhm.
realizing that old things and old ways of doing things, whether it be worship or living, all of those things are evolving. So I'm in a constant change, but it's a good change. I'm not fighting it. Opposed to before, I'd be like, no, no, why can't it just stay the way it is? I understand that change is good. Everything doesn't have to change, but some things you do have to be open to evolving. So I'm evolving. My career, I am changing career wise. Some of it was imposed because of the economy and opportunities and things that happened financially and that happened, with downsizing and companies changing and ups, in that flux right now. It was with how things are going. So career wise, I'm open, but I'm also ready to slow down. I'm not sending like I want, like I used to,
Mhm.
but I am still very much so a sound, very. I'm still very much so a compliance generated kind of individual. Um,
Mhm.
I am trying new things. I'm whether it be with my career or my personal life. I'm
Mhm.
do something new to make life better. So whereas I grew up in a family of hardworking people who got up, went to work, worked for the same company for 20, 30 years, retired. That no longer is what's happening with people, a lot of people our age. So
Wow.
I'm evolving, like, to be able to do what I need to do for myself.
Mhm.
Look at other avenues of building some generational wealth to pass on,
Mhm.
um, and um, humbly learning, understanding that I too am human and
Mhm.
able to learn from the mistakes that I made
Mhm.
and then pass on knowledge and wisdom. Because I new term gatekeeping. I'd never heard of that before. Just someone said, and I said, "Oh, so have I ever been a gatekeeper?" And I was like, no, I've always been willing to share because I always want
Yeah.
else to do better. I'm in this stage where I'm moving into mentorship more again. Um, I'm in that stage where I'm um, not as afraid
Mhm.
to take on something new, to make a change. Um, Faith is a bigger thing for me than it ever has been because of life and things that have happened and some of the miracles of God that have impacted my life. Um, I see them and I see what they are. I see that, you know, um, uh, that my worship and my prayers and my spiritual life are more important to me opposed to what uh, other people. And I love people, but as a reformed people pleaser, I'm more concerned about this point in my life pleasing God than pleasing man because I'm in my 50s. I have more days behind me than I do ahead of me.
Yes.
Um, and so I want to always give God glory and to be humble enough for whatever it is that He has for me to do next and be excited about this. So,
Yes. 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 Thank you, Javina, for sharing that. I that is what you shared with us was so loaded full of some some meat. And hearing all of those things that those changes for you that you're experiencing kind of, almost at once. Um, what was like, what was life like for you before some of these changes started to occur? Let's hear a little bit about that.
so most of my life, I have been an overachiever. I was very driven. I worked for companies and moved through the ranks quickly. Um, I went to college twice to complete a degree
Mhm.
and still have some things I have to do in some careers, some goals that I'd like to complete. I went to first right out of high school. Literally, I think I talked about this before. I was this had my daughter right out of high school, so I
Mhm.
literally had my daughter. I graduated from high school in June of '88. I had
Mhm.
my daughter in August of '88, and by January of '89, I was at the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee.
Oh, wow.
I was going to school,
Mhm.
working, and taking care of my daughter. And because I was an overachiever, experienced burnout quickly.
Wow.
I was taking on too many things because I had all these goals that I felt like I had to achieve.
Mhm.
Goals, realistic. Some of them were when I was younger. They were just because that's what everybody else was doing. But as I got
Mhm.
older, they changed and they became more about what I wanted to do and the kind of life I wanted to have. So
Yes.
I always wanted to do my best to be honest, to be open, to learn.
Mhm.
I've always been that way. I'm a history,
Mhm.
so I've always wanted to learn why you do what you do and
Mhm.
how it impacts the lives of other people and how it impacted the lives of other people. So I was able to kind of take both of those. My career, I would literally get into positions when I would be at companies and I would come in very meekly,
Mhm.
learn, and just take in everything and be friends and befriended and got was networking. Didn't even know that that was the term
Mhm.
very early in my career, and it helped me to evolve and move up in the ranks.
Mhm.
Um, I was very much so driven to be a success because I was a single parent.
Mhm.
I had a beautiful child looking at me as guided, as a goal, as a role model.
Yes.
So, and then I had all my family expectations of who I needed to be. Because remember, I said I'm from a military family. I'm from a military middle class. Being from Wisconsin, we come from people who work hard. We come from a
Yes.
group of African American people who um, had to work for everything they had. My grandfathers both were World War II veterans. Both of them worked for either in factories or foundries or for some of for GM. My
Mhm.
mother's father worked for Rexnard
Oh, wow.
and was one of the first Black machinists for Rexnard. My father's father worked for GM, and my grandmothers were educated women as well. My
Mhm.
my mother's mother worked, and she was a supervisor for Edelman Poly Prim. I don't know if you remember; it was a factory right on Humboldt back in
Yeah.
the day. So my grandmother. So I come from people who were in leadership roles.
Yes.
Very early in life, I kept on getting picked as the leader and I was in the leadership roles for. I remember being a teenager at church, being a president of the usher board. You know, and every time I would join an organization, you know, they would see those leadership qualities, and I had some great mentors. So I
Mhm.
was in a lot of leadership roles, um, professionally and personally. So
You know,
mhm,
I'm a heavy hit pause here for a moment. I have another sister friend,
mhm,
um, Dorcas. I and I'm gonna mess up. I mess up her last name all the time.
mhm.
I think it's Adubo.
Okay.
And she and I were talking about
Mhm,
being the firstborn, either the
mhm,
firstborn or the only child. I'm
mhm,
both.
mhm.
And we talked about the traits of leadership. And when I hear you say that, I laugh because my whole entire life, I have been placed in leadership roles. I never desired leadership. I never did.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never did. And
Uh-huh.
my argument was, can't I just be me? Can't I just do me? And what I've learned now in this season of life is that other people's destiny is attached to us.
Right.
We can't run from leadership because that's the role God put us in. And
Exactly.
so and it's funny because you hear people say you've been running from your calling all your life. I have been running from leadership because I just wanted to be in my immaturity and not
Yeah.
my lack of understanding. I just
Hmm.
wanted to be free and be me. You know, I
Exactly.
I
Uh-huh.
was not trying to be in charge of anything because I didn't want to
Hmm.
manage anybody. And so when I
Hmm.
hear you say being a teenager and being president of the usher board, that just tickled me because I can see that. I can so see that. And I can see how it was like, how I end up here.
Exactly. Exactly. And I used to ask, I kept on asking, I said, listen, you know, as a kid, so I think I talked about this. I grew up, my mother's Baptist, my father's Methodist. My great,
Hmm.
my great grandfather, founded Bethel AME, church back home in Milwaukee.
Yes.
Little church on 35th, right off of Capitol. Um,
Hmm.
and or people say it's not that little, it's a medium sized church, but it's home. So I grew up
Hmm.
between a Baptist family and a Methodist family. Um,
Hmm.
the Baptist family is from Louisiana, so
Okay. Certain expectations came with that. All
expectations
on its
came
own, all on its
with
own.
that. And with the Methodist family, certain expectations came with that. And can you
Hmm.
imagine, you're the oldest, you're on a pedestal,
Hmm.
you have leadership qualities, and you make life choices that
And
mhm.
and you're held accountable.
And the accountability, absolutely. The level of accountability is so much
Hmm.
higher than some your siblings. And I
Hmm.
used to
Or
say
your
that,
cousins.
or your cousins, or
Hmm.
and that these are the expectations we have of you, and you didn't
Hmm.
even know they was there, but they were kind of like they were unspoken, uh,
Hmm.
and so having to fit in that, and then also growing up and being a plus size young lady in a world that told you that you weren't okay because you were plus size. So
Yes.
I got all these things, leadership and all these things that are ever present in my life, but not always accepted by the world. But
Hmm.
loved, I grew up loved. I don't know what it's like to not feel good about who I am, and
Yes.
all of that stuff came from me trying to fit into the world and not having the world accept me for who I am. Um,
Yes.
it took me years to
Hmm.
get over. Even in my family, I had to endure some things like that, the sizeism. But I had beautiful, wonderful people in my family. I had an uncle, God rest his soul. He walked up to me, I was a teenager one time, um, this is off subject a little bit, but I'll tell you this. Um,
Nothing's off subject, girl.
I was always in my family. I was the little. I was. They called me the little fat one, but that's who I was. That's okay. And in our family, it was important. Two things were important for women, our girls in our family.
Yes.
Aesthetic please. You have to be aesthetically pleasing. So you had to carry yourself and take care of yourself and your skin and your hair and all those things. But you also had to be smart. It wasn't okay
Mhm.
to be pretty in my family. The expectation was to be pretty and smart.
Yes.
And so you growing up in the 70s, you don't know how to, and you don't know that, that
Mhm.
expectation, and you grow into it. And you grow up the only little round one, and everybody else is thin. And
Yes.
sometimes, family will say things to you, oh, maybe you shouldn't do this and you need to be thinner. But when you get an A's,
Hmm.
it offsets that. So
Yes.
where I struggled with weight for most of
Hmm.
my life, but here's the thing, people call it thick now. I was,
Hmm.
and I look at pictures of myself and I was round, but I've always people say, "Oh, but you framed up nicely. You have good structure." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's good," but I'm still thick. But
Hmm.
you're not that kind of. And I was like, "Well, it's still thick." Yeah. Now I see the difference, but growing up, it was different because I was very athletic. I was
Yeah.
very going, running, all that stuff,
Hmm.
and so I had to figure out what was my niche. My niche
Hmm.
intelligence was being smart. So
Yes.
I did. I got good grades. I got very good grades. When I studied and applied myself, sometime in high school, I had some time where I just was like, oh, whatever. My first 2 years of high school, I did not do well because I was so worried about everybody else. I didn't realize that I was in my last 2 years of being a minor and that life was about to get real serious. And it did.
Yes.
Um, and when I remembered who I was and whose I was at that
Hmm.
young age, the intelligence, the academic person that I had been grown up to be kicked back in. And so I went back into learning to being the best student I possibly can be, getting those grades. My family was very pleased with that because that was always the expectation. I have professors and lawyers and professional educated people all throughout my family. I was telling Tracy earlier, my daughter got her degree from Lane College in Jackson, Tennessee, at HBCU. Wish I had gone to an HBCU. I was fortunate. I went to UWM in Milwaukee, and then went to Concordia University, um, and pretty much so finished up there. And so I um, I learned that life doesn't always go the way you want it to, but if you can pivot and be humble, you
Oh,
are going to
yeah.
become something that's going to make you a better person. You're going to be able to share that. It
Mhm.
hurts to fall down. I'm not going to lie and say that it doesn't. The last year of my life has been an absolute roller coaster, and none of it I thought I would. All I wanted to do was survive from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had some very traumatic things happen to me in my career, um, where um, I've endured some um, I've endured discrimination at a level professionally that I don't know how I made it other than by the grace of God. When you're a single parent and you're in the world and you're working and you think you're doing all the right things and you're saying and um, they call it code switching.
Hmm. Yeah.
But when you're in survival mode and you are all you want to do is earn an honest living, work
Mhm.
hard, be productive, be accountable, and grow your career. When you are faced with absolute racism and discrimination, it, for a lack of terms, deflates you.
Yes.
So I'm one. I'm an African American woman in America. Two,
Mhm.
a thick madame in America. Three, I'm an intellectual in America. Four, I'm a single mother working in the workforce.
Mhm. Mhm.
And all the expectations in the world are on me. And my family has all these expectations. I have all these expectations. The world has all these expectations. And when you are met with that kind of adversity, when you have done everything that you knew to do, which is the right
Mhm.
thing, to be subjected to that and have your career stalled and stopped because of it,
Mhm.
um, is a breaking experience. We wonder why sometimes we just get so quiet and silenced
Mhm.
because we're afraid to even talk because everything that we do is everything's like it's all locked together. If
Yes.
I say something, I could lose my job and then I don't have the means to take care of myself and my child and my responsibility. If I don't say nothing, I die quietly inside. So for years, I didn't know what to do with that.
Mhm.
I grew up, I was born and raised in the church, had been in church all my life. And many times I would cry out and ask God, why
Mhm.
were all these things happening
Mhm.
in my career? Why can't I get these breaks? Why can't I get these opportunities? I'm doing all the stuff that I know to do. I'm asking, hey,
Mhm.
and to hit a brick solid wall that seems 100 feet tall and 100 feet thick and thick and wide because of the color of my skin
Yes.
made me question myself and it made me question my worth sometimes.
Let me ask you,
Mm-hmm.
looking back on those experiences now, what did that teach you about yourself? And how did those experiences change you? How did first let's address how those experiences changed you, and
Mm-hmm.
then what did they teach you about yourself?
They changed me. I remember being a child, my mother used to say to me, I want you to take off those rose colored glasses. Because I thought everybody was good. I thought everybody was fair. I thought everybody was nice. I thought everybody was going to like me. If I was good to them, they were going to be good to me. I put out positivity and encouragement and care. And I felt like that's what I was going to get back. I always was taught, do unto others as you have them do unto you. That's not always the case, unfortunately.
Okay.
Uh, you asked me, what did it do to me? It made me be more realistic, but I'm going to tell you what it did. I think the best thing it did was it made me face the truth about why I needed God so much. It
Yes.
helped me to run. It helped me to strengthen my relationship with Jesus Christ. It helped me to seek his word and seek his truth and understand they crucified him as innocent.
Mhm.
Why do I think I'm going to get out of this life unscathed? Why do I think
Amen.
everything is going to be perfect for me? It
Amen.
made me understand that the decision to be ethical
Mhm.
and the decision to do the right thing, even when nobody else was looking. Now, I've
Mhm.
made my mistakes. I'm not perfect, but fundamentally, it made me, it changed me to accept that we're all human. People make
Yeah.
mistakes, but some things just aren't right. It made me learn how to speak up for myself. It made me be more strategic. It made me be more determined. I say to people that I am a very much so compliance oriented person because
Mhm. Yeah.
It was survival. But it
Hmm.
was also for me to teach and to impart those same things in my daughter, her friends, and any other young lady who was coming up behind me. I remember one of my daughter's friends, uh-huh,
Integrity.
integrity. It made me, ethics for me was, it made sense
Mhm.
because I grew up the way I did. You know, my dad was in the military for most of my life as a child. My dad didn't retire until I was probably in my 30s.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, so I was probably in my late 20s and or I was in my 30s when my father retired from the military.
Hmm.
And I saw my mother work in Milwaukee and have to endure racism, classism. She was a divorcee, very much an introvert, but she worked hard. She learned to work smart. She took care of us. My mother was the mother. If I came to her and said, Mama, I need some money. If she had $5, my mother would give us four, and she might hold one for herself. So I come from that, Tracy. I come from people who taught us do the right thing, do it the right thing the first time. You do the wrong
Do it
thing,
the right way
you do it the
and do
right
it the right way. Yep.
way. If you do it the wrong way, you might get away with it now, but you're gonna pay for it later on.
Yes.
I grew up with people who were honest. Uh, I grew up with people who were kind and loving, not perfect.
Hmm.
I grew up with honest parents. My
Hmm.
parents, you know, made their mistakes and said they sorry, and I learned that it was okay not to be perfect with the perfection. But I was a perfectionist for years. I will say that.
Hmm.
I learned how to forgive myself, and I even learned how to forgive those people who, in my career, threw darts and things at me to stop me dead in my tracks for a moment, but it did not stop my momentum. It did not, it made me stronger in God. It made me trust Him more and myself less. It made me understand that there's a lot of hurting people out here, and they may succeed for right now, but eventually they're going to have to deal with whatever it is that they've done and whatever they put out there. It's made me, I'm gonna tell a little something else about me.
Hmm.
I was a fighter when I was growing up, and I shared this with Tracy before. My father was a boxer, and my mother was quiet and sweet, but you did not. That's not the one you want to make mad. So you get a mixture between the two. And my father taught us, my sister and I, how to box,
Hmm.
and I was a little too good at it. I didn't start it, but I used to finish it.
Yes.
So when you grow up and I'm very competitive, and my best friend and I were tomboys. I grew up an absolute tomboy,
Hmm.
and I'm still rough around the edges when it comes to certain things. I love contact sports. Anything contact, that's my thing. So with all that going on with me, and I'm trying to be the best I possibly can be, there are some times that I wanted to physically put my hands on people.
Okay. Now you know
And
what? I can relate to that. And some people don't know that about me because
mm-hmm,
I was also a fighter. And
mm-hmm,
people who know me now, they're like
mm-hmm.
they couldn't imagine. But
Yes.
I didn't do a whole lot of talking. I
Mm-mm.
did not. And I did not you got one time.
Mm-hmm.
If you miss that your first opportunity because you pre it was on
Mm-hmm.
and popping. I never started anything,
Mm-hmm. But I sure
but
know.
I couldn't afford to not finish it. Um,
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know, and so
Mm-hmm.
I can relate because and I'm listening to you, we
Mm-hmm.
have some parallel journeys because for my viewers and people who know me, they know I retired from education. Um, I taught middle school for over 20 years. But before that, I too worked in corporate.
Mm-hmm.
And I too faced discrimination. One, because I was Black.
Mm-hmm.
Two, because I spoke up when I saw something that I didn't feel was right.
Mm-hmm.
Three, I was not only was I Black, but I was a plus size Black woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, and there were times, and so when I'm listening to your story, I'm like, yeah, I remember those days. I
Mm-hmm.
remember those days. And there were times that I had to remind myself, okay, you're an adult now. You know they can take
Mm-hmm.
you out in handcuffs.
There are yes, there were times I was sat in meetings and I was the only minority in that meeting.
Hmm.
And I was sitting there, what I felt like would have changed the world ideas, fighting a stereotype in those
Hmm.
meetings to
You don't want to be the angry Black woman.
that part. Disrespected, rejected, disgusted,
Hmm.
but still with the desire to make it better, not just for myself, but for somebody else.
Hmm.
So I remember sitting in a meeting and all these people were saying all these things, and I just was sitting there. And it was a problem that we were trying to solve, and everybody was talking more about the problem than the solution.
Oh.
So I remember saying, we've talked, a lot of things have been said about the problem.
Hmm.
Where do we put that down, and where do we start brainstorming for solutions? Because we already know what the problem is, right?
Hmm.
I had to kind of pivot that whole conversation as the only Black woman in there.
Hmm.
While I'm hearing all these people complain, I'm sitting here going, okay, that's enough of that.
Hmm.
And I remember having that saying that, and then having a peer say to me, well, we need everybody to just kind of get it out of their system and then we'll start brainstorming later. The meeting had been going on for 45 minutes to an hour, and that was enough. It was so heavy and so much toxicity in the room, it was choking me. And I said, well, isn't I said, haven't we talked about the problem long enough? How much longer are we going to keep on going on about this problem? What are we going to do to fix it?
Yeah.
Because we've already
The
said
next
it.
logical thing.
Yeah, we spent that
Otherwise,
much.
what was the point of the meeting?
I felt like it was for people to vent. But when you get invited to some of those meetings, you get meetings on your calendar, and you look at, okay, you got to know this is what's happening, or whatever. And you know how corporate is. You got a problem. Some people want to talk about the problem for so long, but after a while, I was like, okay, my brain had already switched to problem solving. I was ready to let's attack this.
And you know what was it's funny that you say that because one of the things that I remember
Mm-hmm.
um, in interviews,
Mm-hmm.
one of the big questions was,
Mm-hmm.
well, how are you with problem solving?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like you, I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Right, right. Because it's dead.
It's it's dead. Let's talk about what we're gonna do about this horse carcass and get it
Right.
out the room before it starts to smell.
That was the point. And I said, okay, I, I want to take a page out of my grandmother's book and say, all right, enough is enough. We ain't talked about this long enough. But I had to be constructive in what I said because remember, Tracy, I'm not a plus size woman, and
Mhm.
I'm almost 5'8". In many rooms that I walk in, I am the tallest woman in there. Now, 5'8" doesn't. You might say that's not that tall, but when you a big Black woman,
Mhm.
you take up more space when you walk in the room. So
Yeah.
your steps, even I used to even pay attention to how I was breathing to not come off and reduce my space. I was choking for years on sitting in these meetings, being the only person in leadership in roles and feeling like I couldn't say what needed to be said. But I had people around me who freely expressed themselves.
Mhm.
And it was choking me after a while. And I kept on thinking to myself, why am I walking out of this meeting feeling worse than when I walked in? What did we really constructively get done?
Nothing.
I've sat in rooms and I've heard people. Now, let me not say this. I'm not a prude or anything. Like I said, my mother's family is from Louisiana. That's not all true. What I'm about to say is not a stereotype, but in my family, I'm going to say what it is.
Mhm.
Cusses. Okay? Folks that cuss for no reason. Intelligent, but cuss. And that was the way they expressed themselves, and that's okay. Now I see cussing as, there's a place for it. You just don't be cussing all the time or whatever. You can't the code switching. You can't just say. I grew up I worked in corporate America where my Caucasian colleagues cussed their heads off
Mhm. Yes.
and were respected, but
Yes.
I was expected to use the King's English and
All the
always speak.
time.
I had a colleague literally walk up to me one time, a Caucasian, a white colleague walk up to me one time and she said, "Oh my God, you know," she went to high school with my cousin,
Hmm.
and she said, "You and your cousin, you speak so well. Wow." And she said that to me, and I looked at her and I said, uh, "What do you mean by
Opposed
that?"
to
And
what?
she, yeah, opposed to what? I looked at her and I said, "I have professors and academic people with education, we carry ourselves well. What do you mean we speak so well?" And it made her uncomfortable. I
Hmm.
straightened my hair for years to make them feel comfortable with me. I'm a big Black woman.
Hmm.
Sometimes walking in rooms with a chip on my shoulder, sitting across from somebody who has absolutely tore me down, took credit for my work, but then came to me when it became when there was a problem that needed to be solved. I felt like I was
Hmm.
a fireman for years.
Hmm.
Corporate America,
Hmm.
that's what I did. I would put fires out all the time.
Yes.
Um, I in one face I'm being respected, and in the other one being disrespected.
Yes. At
Oh,
what point, Javina, did you realize that something had to change? At what point was it? Was there something that happened for you that made you realize that you had to do something different?
so I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm not going to name no names because I don't do that. I was in a leadership role, so um, I worked for an international insurance company
Hmm.
in Milwaukee. The company, I was in leadership there. The company closed down Milwaukee operations and moved me here to Houston, which is how I wound up in Texas.
Okay.
I worked for this company, and you can have the same company in different parts of the country,
Yes.
and the company culture is polar opposites.
Wow.
So I took the opportunity to move down here in Texas. My daughter was in college, and she was like, "Yeah, ma, the job market is horrible." This is the time frame. This is like 80. This is 2008 when the world seemed like it was 2008 2009. So
Hmm.
things had crashed. The company I worked for decided to close operations, and I moved down here to Houston and
Hmm.
continued on with the company because of my roles. I had teams here in the US, and then I had teams over in the Philippines, and I managed their production and things. So I moved down here, and I was always taught to be nice. Kill them with kindness is how I was
Hmm.
raised. And that's how I worked. And that's how I functioned in corporate America. And I was nice and kept on being nice until it almost strangled me because my niceness was getting taken advantage of. And so I was here and some things had occurred.
Mm-hmm.
And I had literally been thrown under the bus by my director and my
Mm-hmm.
manager
Mm-hmm.
for a situation in corporate that was beyond my control. I inherited. When I got the problem, it was bigger than they could ever imagine because it had been going on for years. And in that time, I was trying to fix it. I made some missteps too. I took
Mm-hmm.
ownership for it, but the problem was bigger than they imagined. And I can't talk about what the problem is because this company still exists and some other things. So long story short, my director and my manager sat in a meeting. They threw me under the bus,
Mm-hmm.
trying to say that I was the reason why this had occurred. This problem had started before I got into the position in the leadership role I was in, but it was evolving and changing. And so um, I had been too nice to the point where I found out that they threw me under the bus in a meeting. I was off. There was a meeting and I didn't go to it because I was off. I was out sick actually. I didn't go to this meeting. I come back and while I'm at home sick, my phone is blowing up because my friends are calling me at home to tell me what happened in this meeting.
Um,
So I'm at home sick. They call me to tell me what's happening. And when I say these are my friends, I'm still friends with these two ladies to this day. They called me and told me what was said by my director and the gentleman I reported directly to
oh, wow.
about how I was responsible for the problem. They only knew this much of the problem. I knew, and others who had been there for years knew that the problem was bigger than the little chunk of knowledge that they had. Their knowledge was based off of what they assumed and not what they knew. So that next day I came into the office. I was still sick, but I had to go in there because I was fed up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was strategic because one of my friends, she said, listen, don't come in here and blow it all. You don't want to blow up everything. You got to be strategic about what you can do. So she and I
Mm-hmm.
was brainstorming and stuff, and I came in that next day,
Mm-hmm.
and I requested a meeting with both of them,
Okay.
and some other folks in management was there, and I had called HR because I was tired,
Okay.
and we had a meeting, and I said and I brought up what I said, hey, this is the problem. We've been dealing with it for a while. I said, but my understanding is some things, from very disparaging things were said about me in this meeting. And they were said about me, like I was I tried not to take it personal, but it was impactful. It was hurting me. I was having a problem working with them anymore. I couldn't respect them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I said this in that meeting. I said, I took it as an opportunity to educate them about the totality of the problem that was going on.
Okay.
After I gave them the totality, they were sitting there going, oh, we didn't know. And I said, well, can I ask you a question? And they said, yes. I said, why did you make it seem like it was solely my doing and made it sound as if I was incapable of doing what I'm supposed to be doing in this role? Why would
Mm-hmm.
you do that to me
Mm-hmm.
when I have done nothing but been respectful and kind and courteous and helped us to increase productivity, helped us to cut our expenses. I went down the whole list of all the things that I helped this department do.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you all make it throw me up for the sacrificial lamb when there are other things that I've been contributing to and not try to find out more about it? And they both said, we assumed this was the case. We didn't know the whole thing. I said, why didn't you come and ask me before you said it?
Mm-hmm.
I work with you all. I then realized that these people were all out for themselves, and it made me defensive. It made me more. It made me angry. But I did not. Uh, I didn't do to them what they did to me. I cried. I was angry. I was hurt. I felt rejected. I felt all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But it showed me who they really were, and then I showed them who I really was. I didn't curse anybody out, mistreat anybody. I kept on doing what I was doing. It made me more resourceful. Um, it made me more objective. It changed me
Mm-hmm.
sometimes for the worse because, like I said, I was defensive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was a kind of defensive that I was approachable. So when I say I was defensive, I was very, very concise about what I said and what I did. I
Mm-hmm.
documented everything. People who I had been working with for years, I made them accountable and I did not stop. I no longer was nice. I was I evolved
Mm-hmm.
and it did me well. Um, it helped me to understand that we all make mistakes. But when that happened, I just kind of sat back and said, if I don't take care of myself, nobody else would. Rejected the knowledge of loyalty because we were coworkers, and I accepted the fact that bills come through my door with my name on it. I have my responsibilities. I start saying me more instead of us, and I became selfish and not self-absorbed, but I started taking care of number one more. I stopped
Oh.
being so willing to lay down and let people walk all over me for the sake of fitting in. I stopped being accountable for people. I used to, like I said, I was a reformed people pleaser. I used to say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, yeah. And I was getting my butt handed to me on a regular basis in my personal and my professional life.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept on taking it to the point where I didn't have nothing else left to give. And I was
Mm-hmm.
afraid that I was going to become this angry person and bitter and full of rage.
Mm-hmm.
My family didn't deserve that. My employees didn't deserve I didn't deserve it. So I had to learn how to cry, walk away, acknowledge my emotions, cry when I needed to cry, and let myself cry and be okay with it and come back and put on that strong face because, like everybody else, I had bills to pay and expectations. I had a child in college. I wasn't about to shut down and let them defeat me. Um, those goals that I learned to set early in life are the reason why I was able to survive a lot of things that I've endured. I've had a lot of great things happen to me, but those things that changed me fundamentally were as a result many times of either the mistake I made or things that had been done to me or my loved ones. I've had to be at the gravesite of young people in my family who were killed by violence and gun violence. Back home, I've had to watch people, you know, take their last breath. I've had to do all those things, but nothing prepared me in life for how vicious people could be because I did not let them walk all over me and I started standing up.
You know, that that is so powerful. I recently had a conversation, and I've had this conversation before with with multiple people. Um, wow, I don't understand hate.
Yeah.
I don't. And as much of a fighter as I was growing up, um, I don't understand hate. I don't, I know my spiritual side of me knows it's a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so I understand that part. And I guess sometimes when I say I don't understand it, it's because I'm looking through my human eyes. Um, if someone does something to me, I understand not liking them.
Mm-hmm.
What
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand is not liking someone who I don't even know, who has not done anything to me.
Right.
Um, I don't understand that because I don't operate that way. And
Yeah.
I don't go after people.
Mm-mm.
Even people who I don't care for. I can observe a person
Mm-hmm.
and not care for the way they do things, the way they talk to people, the way they treat people, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't go after them.
Mm-mm.
I know I steer clear of them
Yeah.
because I decide who's in my circle, who's in my village. I decide that,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want them in my circle, in my village, so I don't deal with them. I don't fool with them, but I
Absolutely.
don't target them. I don't go after them.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so when I see people who operate that way, I don't understand it.
I don't
It
either,
makes
Tracy.
no sense to me.
Yeah, because we all fight some battle, right? Everybody's going through something. You may not talk about it, but we all fighting the battle each and every day, whether it's with
Yes.
ourselves, within
Hmm.
ourselves, spiritually, mentally, financially, socially, economically, all of those things. We all fighting battles. Health.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
you and I laugh about this, but you remember how you when you was young, you just get up and you jump and you run and you just get up and roll. Now you got to go like this. Okay, wait a
The
minute.
rocket.
Yeah, rocking just to
Wait a minute, and looking for something to hold on
hold
to.
on to, hold on to. So if I know that,
Yes.
so since I know that, and
Hmm.
freedom, freedom has taught me. Since I know that about myself and other people around me, I can't hate those people. What
Hmm.
does it gain me to walk around with that? I tell the story still because it still bothers me because some days I look and I said, I should have been farther in my career. But then I
Hmm.
guess what I've had to learn how to say, Tracy, if it was God's will, then that would have happened in my life. And I've had to accept what God has allowed in my life and understand that it is good, is working for the perfection of me to be a better vessel than I could ever be for God. This life is not just mine. When I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I have to take on everything. Good breaks, bad breaks, car breaking down. I, at the same company that all this stuff happened to me, Tracy,
Hmm.
literally in 1 week, I got downsized.
Hmm.
Somebody hit my vehicle. I had to put my vehicle in the shop a few weeks before. So this all happened in less than 6 weeks.
Hmm.
My transmission went out. I had to go get a rental car.
Okay.
I later find out I got the rental car. I get downsized. And the day after I get downsized, I'm in a rental car. The car is parked in the parking lot at work. Somebody hit the rental car and not hit it so hard and knocked the bumper off. Didn't leave a note or nothing, just ran off. All of that happened to me. Oh, and I got a speeding ticket. I got a speeding ticket.
Yeah. You know what?
I was sitting there like this. I never get this. I was standing outside. I looked up. I said, all right, Lord, what else? What you got for me? What am I supposed to be learning here?
Hmm.
And what happened, what I went through last year with my with you know getting a job, losing a job, getting a job, the crazy market that I went through, the ups and downs and all the stuff that I went through. The beautiful part is I did marry a man. I'm happily married, but I was sitting back and taking a roller coaster ride. I felt like the rug had been pulled from underneath me. But I, at one point, the peace of God that transcends all understanding came on me, and I sat back and I said, "All right, Lord, what am I supposed to be learning?
Hmm.
How am I? What's going on here?" I think I shared with you. I just finished up a Daniel fast last week, last Sunday. I mean Sunday, just this past Sunday, and I've done it for years, but this year was special.
Okay.
This year was the year where I said, "Lord, make me more astute and more attuned so I can hear you."
Hmm.
Um, I've asked for a lot of different kind of changes. Help me to absolutely accept, not just with service, my lip service, but really accept what you allow in my life and be grateful for everything.
Yes.
Help me to understand that this Daniel fast is different because I've never been through what I went through last year, 2025. I was sitting
Mhm.
there at 11 o'clock, 11:30, 11:59, thanking God for making it to a brand new year because I didn't even think that I was going to make it out of last year.
Wow.
I have never experienced so many things emotionally in my life in one year that tore me up, tore me down, broke me, made me feel like I just didn't have it anymore, like I was just losing it. Depression. I went into I spiraled all the way and down into a deep, dark depression that bordered on suicidal thoughts. But the grace of God that I just, I don't know. I'm sitting here wondering, had it not been for what I know about who God is and what He is in my life, I don't know if I'd still be here. It was only the grace of God and only the hand of God that pulled me out of the pit. And I'm telling
Yes.
you, it was dark and it was dark for a while. Things aren't 100%, but they sure are better than what they were before. Everything is a gift now.
Hmm.
Even when I tell that story about the betrayal and the betrayals and the things that I've been through in life, Hershey, I have been engaged and supposed to marry at least 5 times in my life. I finally
Wow.
did it at 54 years old. I've gone through a lot, but I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you, I've had more good days than bad days. I'm still a laughing, giggling, happy person. I still have a peace and a joy. I still, when I want to, can get fine as wine, but I am one of those women who finally got to the point where I don't need to leave out the door with makeup on. Got some on today.
Yes.
But I'm a woman who has learned that pivoting is a good thing, and I'm grateful to be able to pivot. But I get to pivot now with blessings and humbleness.
Hmm.
It's not about me so much anymore. It's about what do I leave?
Hmm.
How do I make this world a better place? How do I not be the reason why somebody is upset and hurting? How do I make somebody else's day a little bit better? So everything now is a gift to me.
Yes.
I'm grateful for it. Even the fact that you and I connected last year,
I am
it's
too.
it's all starting to make sense. The path, like you said, running away from your what you're supposed to be doing in life, I can't run
Yes.
no more. I'm like you, Tracy. I want it to be in the back. I want it to be, unseen, and
Hmm.
it just don't never happen. I told so. I said I just want to stand in the back and be be the one in the back. But
Let
if
me,
God moves me, then that's where I'm gonna go.
and you know what? Let's pause and park the car right here for a moment, okay?
Yes, yes.
Because what was it that made us not want to be out front? What was it that made us want to be in the back? Because I was perfectly content being in the back. Now, let me tell you this, because
Mm-hmm.
also remember, at some point, and I tell people at some point in my adulthood, things got so rough that I stopped dreaming. I was like you. I was just surviving
Mm-hmm.
and not thriving. I stopped dreaming. But
Mm-hmm.
as a young person, I said, I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be
Mm-hmm.
an encourager and inspiration. But at that point, I didn't have I didn't have enough experience to inspire or motivate anybody. But I also didn't want the spotlight on me. What is that about? Why didn't we want the spotlight on us? And I've discovered some things about myself,
Yeah.
but I want the audience to hear from you first.
The reason why I didn't want to be on the spotlight was because I felt sometimes I'm gonna be honest with myself and be honest here. Sometimes I felt like I was a fraud
Mm,
because in public I looked like everything was all put together, but in private I was dying inside. I was struggling with self-esteem issues. I had
mhm,
struggled so much for most of my. See, I grew up in a very loving family,
mhm,
but I also grew up in a family with the expectations that sometimes were unrealistic. I felt like I wasn't good enough,
mhm,
felt like I wasn't pretty enough, felt like I wasn't thin enough. I felt like I wasn't what the world said was acceptable for a woman like me to be. I had an opinion. I was
mhm.
I I was I was a single mother. I didn't have a lot. I struggled. I wasn't sometimes people's cups of tea,
Yes,
coffee,
yes.
but it was all on the road to help me to accept myself finally.
Mhm,
Years ago, my cousin came here for a visit, and I told her, I said, I have been around Peg, and myself and the world has been trying to push me through a triangle, a square, every other shape than what I am.
yes.
I'm finally accepting that it's okay for me to be around Peg
Mhm,
in a world that tells me I'm not good enough, that I don't fit the mold, that I haven't achieved the things that other people in my life and my age have,
mhm.
that I didn't want the spotlight because I didn't want the cracks to show, that I was holding myself together on my own and not being thankful and allowing God's grace, direction, and healing to heal all my cracks.
Mhm,
I didn't know how to say no to people,
mhm,
and I didn't want it to show that I was just barely holding on.
mhm.
I didn't want people to see my imperfections because I was very good at making it all look good.
Yeah.
Oh, at one point, Tracy, in my life, I remember that I was so held together by fakeness and frailty and things that the world expected me to do. I was duct taped. I was wearing things, so here's, most women are wearing now undergarments. They call them undergarments. We call them girdles.
Yeah.
We call them long line bras. They were all restricting
Mhm.
us on the inside so that we looked a certain way on the outside. We appeared.
Yes.
We carried ourselves. I used to wear 4 and 5 inch heels, baby, and you couldn't tell me nothing.
Mhm.
Put it all together because the appearance was everything was great and awesome. And
Yes.
I was fighting the battle every day just to get up. I used to hate waking up early in the morning. There were days that I would cry at the thought of waking up in the morning. And I would wake up and I would get up and I would fight just to get my day started. Um, I didn't want to be in the spotlight because reality is in the spotlight. You can't hide everything in the spotlight. You got to
Hmm.
own and pop it all the time.
Yeah.
I became, I took a lot, so I became really good at public speaking. And I used to speak a lot back home in Milwaukee, whether it was in church or in the community. My daughter was in a group called Upward Bound, and not Upward Bound, I'm sorry, Urban Underground. Upward Bound
Okay.
was remember Upward Bound was a
Remember
program,
Upper Bound. Hmm. Yep.
but this is called Urban Underground. And right now it's a couple that started it.
Hmm.
Um, Reggie Moore, and I'm going to call it Charlene Moore. Charlene.
Hmm.
But my daughter became a part of this organization. And it was fascinating and phenomenal to me.
Hmm.
And I was excited for her because it taught her her civic duty. It taught her about how to be a part of the world, how the world operates. It taught her. Remember, remember at Riverside, we were in a group called Peer Listeners.
Yes, I remember that
And
group. Yes. Hmm.
this group was that with a different spin on it. Um,
It was
they did.
10X.
Yep, yep.
Hmm.
This Urban Underground. I don't even know if they still have it in Milwaukee, but it was a group. There were kids from all over Milwaukee. My daughter wanted to get involved, but they used to do community cleanups. They would do all these things in the community, and I met the first Palestinian young women, and I learned about. That was the first time I learned about the Israeli Palestinian conflict from a
Okay.
different, because I always knew it from the Israeli side. I never
Hmm.
knew about it but from the Palestinian side.
Okay.
And so as she was learning, I was learning. I never,
Wow.
and as a parent, they expected us to do a lot of, um, we would have to volunteer for things.
Hmm.
So I became involved and I was learning what my daughter was learning. And I was like, this is awesome. But it was where peer listeners started and this evolved into it. And long story short, I got nominated to do the parent. So it was a parent appreciation speech.
Hmm.
And so Jasmine came to me and she said, "Hey, Ma, uh, you got voted to do the parent speech." And I had done public speaking, and I felt like I was eloquent and I could carry and I can do all these things, you know. And I was enjoying. This is a phase at I had been at Concordia, did some public speaking, was doing it a lot.
Hmm.
And so I remember her coming to me and telling me this. And I was like, okay, great. So I get up there and I prepared a few things, but I'm more of an off the cuff kind of speaker.
Okay.
So long story short, I get there and before I knew it, I was up there and it was fiery and I was um speaking and it was well received and warm and inviting. And I said, "Man, this is it. I think I want to be a public. I want to go into public speaking."
Yes.
You know what stopped me, Tracy? Me,
What?
me. I stopped myself dead in my tracks on the
Hmm.
cusp of declaring what I could do effortlessly.
Hmm.
Up out of something else that I was, and I was good at talking myself out of stuff. I get up and speak in front of 300 people.
Hmm.
When I got alone with my thoughts, I would pick apart everything that I said, and it was debilitating. My
Hmm.
desire, and I became a horrible procrastinator. Put it off, put it off, put it off, put it off. Then
Hmm.
the ninth hour, I want to jump up and do it, and then wonder why it wasn't as good as when I planned it out.
Hmm.
I didn't want to be in the spotlight because I didn't want to always have to be accountable to other people about my frailties.
Hmm.
Honestly, I sang. I used to sing a lot. I grew up singing in the
In
church.
high school, I remember.
I sang. I sang a lot, and I
Hmm.
wasn't the best singer, but I could. I could do something.
Girl,
And
you
then
can carry a note.
I was already, I could carry on. I was,
Mm-hmm.
hey,
Yep.
I was a background singer. That was my, like, my sister and my father. I have
Mm.
two sisters and my father. They voices, they sing all the time. Where
Yes.
I could sing, I couldn't sing because I felt like I was always overly critical of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So the spotlight became a place I didn't want to be because that's where all the real frailties show. You have to be on point when you're in the spotlight. When you in,
Yes.
well, you can crack,
Mm-hmm.
and there's going to be people around you that's going to cover up that crack, and that's why there was comfort for me in the background without the spotlight on. The funny part is when I was in the spotlight, I performed well. I just didn't believe in myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's why I didn't want to be. And like even now, when I joined the church, I belong to the Church Without Walls down here. Yeah, I'm giving it a pun. Yeah, wonderful church. Very very blessed to be a part of that congregation. Ralph Douglas West is our pastor here in the Houston area. Joined
Okay.
the church in 2010, right after I moved here. So I got here in 2009. 2010, I joined that congregation. My daughter, my grandson was raised at the Church Without Walls, and we still active members, but not as active as I used to be. Wound up joining the choir, and right away, Sister Javina, we thinking you got these skills. I did not want to be, and they was pulling me, and I was going, nope, 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 nope. Um, Other organizations I got involved in, and come in, nope, 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 nope. Because I hate the spotlight. I just I don't want it in my life. I don't want to be on if I'm on a committee, I just want to do the work in the background. It's not that I can't do the leadership role. I just don't want to do the leadership role. There's a level of accountability and things that I just don't want to have to do. And as a former people pleaser, when you're a people pleaser and you're in leadership, things get misconstrued. And
Yeah.
you start getting into a realm where things might happen and you take it
Mm-hmm.
personal when you need to just brush it off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still in repair.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I don't want to be in nobody's leadership. I don't mind being in the background. Is that going to be forever? I don't think so because God keep on pulling me into leadership roles. I'm doing the work on myself to get prepared for whatever it is He has next for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's leadership again. Then I'm going to walk in it, but I'm going to be a better, more prepared person to be in leadership. I'll be tapping
You-
more to God, into to the Word, and to who I know He is, and less into myself. So,
And you know what? I want to encourage you, Javina.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I'm encouraging you, but I'm encouraging myself too.
mm-hmm,
Go back to the scripture
mm-hmm,
and look at those who God chose to lead.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
None of them wanted to be leaders.
mm-hmm.
They were people who wanted to be in the background,
Right.
but they were who God chose. And He equipped them.
Mm-hmm,
He equipped them,
mm-hmm,
and they were already leaders.
mm-hmm,
They
mm-hmm.
they in their own right. When you think about Moses, Moses was a leader.
Yes.
But then when God told him this is what I want you to do, he was like, "But Lord, no, I'm not
Yes.
that." But he
Yeah.
had always been
Right.
because he
Right.
was sent here to lead. He
Mm-hmm,
was sent
mm-hmm,
here to lead. And so when I think about it, we've been running and 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 when I hear you talked about the cracks, the frailties, not wanting to be in the spotlight because those things show up. The people that God chose to be leaders were imperfect people.
mm-hmm,
They weren't the ones that were polished and all put together
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because those weren't the people he was trying to reach. He wanted people with a testimony, and he
mm-hmm.
wanted people who he could give more testimony to.
Yep. Yep.
And so I'm encouraging you, sister, go on back to the word, go on back to the word and
Yes.
look at those people because
Yes.
you're gonna find out you already that. You're already that.
Thank
You
you.
already that. So yeah. Um
I
and
humbly receive that. Thank you.
yes, yes.
I am. I'm a very different person. When you've been kept by the great God who knows all and sees all, it's made me look at life and things, opportunities, and be grateful for everything. Because there was a time where I just felt like I didn't deserve it.
Hmm.
And I realize I do. I realize that I do deserve to be just as happy as I want to be
Hmm.
and to be as used as I want to be by God
Hmm.
and to even sometimes, be get down on all fours and let somebody stand on my back so that they can reach a little higher.
Yeah.
Um, it's good to be in this place. It's good to finally be free. It's good to finally be at a point where I'm unapologetically being who I am. And I'm not saying sorry for being who I am.
Hmm.
I'm realizing that through all the stuff that I've been through, I still have something to offer this world. And God's not through with me.
He's not. He's not. He's not.
And,
And
you
I'm
know,
of the belief that if God put you here,
mm-hmm,
you're
mm-hmm,
here for a reason.
mm-hmm,
He
mm-hmm,
sees the value in you.
mm-hmm,
He sees the value in you.
mm-hmm,
And if he, your creator, sees the value in you, what we have to do is we have to learn to see the value in us.
mm-hmm,
And we
mm-hmm,
have to work on our mindset and how we see ourselves. And sometimes, when I pray, I have to ask the Lord,
mm-hmm,
Lord, open my eyes so that I can see
mm-hmm.
what it is you want me to see about myself,
Yep.
the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm,
Because I want him to correct me and to help me see where I need the correction, but
mm-hmm.
I'm not all bad.
Yeah,
Just like I'm not all good, I'm not all
yeah.
bad. Lord, help me to see.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
and there's, this phrase is floating around now, God don't play about me. God don't play about me. He don't play about Tracy, but he don't play with Tracy either.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. He don't.
And the same way he is fighting our battles,
Mhm.
he will chastise us for doing stuff that we know we're not supposed to do.
I sit back sometimes and look at the chastisement and I go like this. Yep, I did it. I deserved that one.
Yep,
But guess
yep.
what? The pruning process. My grandmother always, both of them always talk about pruning. They always
Hmm.
had, I grew up with two grandmothers who had great green thumbs and they had gardens that, that were just, they always seemed to thrive. Both of them.
Yes.
They both had roses
Hmm.
and they knew how to prune. I remember one time I was helping my grandmother the clean up in the backyard, and she
Hmm.
cutting away at some of her rose bushes.
Hmm.
Now I thought these things were beautiful, but if you touched them, they had those
Thorns.
thorns on them. And my grandmother, I remember her cutting back stuff, and they was cutting stuff down, and put these roses. Everything else, she kind of took a weed whacker to, or a saw or whatever. But these roses, she carefully pruned those. And I asked her, I said, "Why don't you just cut them? same way you cut me. She said, no, no, no. Please, you have to take your time. And God, it's how God prunes us. You have to cut it down for it to
Mhm.
grow and to thrive.
Yeah.
All the stuff that happened last year and all the years before, the pruning was for his glory and not mine.
Yes.
Now I get to see that. Back then, you couldn't have told me that because it hurt. And I was
Hmm.
going, now I get to see that the pruning was for the refinement. I ain't perfect, never will be. But I bet
Hmm.
you I'm so much more thankful and humbled and changed and grateful for everything, opposed to looking at what I don't have, but thanking God for what I do have.
Yes.
Remembering that there was somebody who's worse off than me. One of my favorite songs is an old song by I'm gonna call the name. It was it's called Be Grateful. I'm gonna call the name. See them? I just can't think of the name of them. But it's called Be Grateful.
Hmm.
She says, God has not promised me sunshine. That's not the way it's going to be. But a little rain mixed with God to help me appreciate the good times, be grateful. That whole song, I heard it, the Hawkins family, it was my Hawkins family. I heard that song, but now I listen to it.
Hmm.
It's the fruit. It's the thing that now sustains and helps me to understand the relationship that God has with me and him and with all of us that's available to accept him. It is to look at the good times, be grateful for those, but also be grateful for the bad times because those bad times are what teach you more. If I had to learn it, if I only was grateful for the good times, I wasn't going to grow. Those good times were going to come and go, but those hard times was going to be a lesson and a blessing. And it was
Yes.
the testimony, the things that I share with people. Now I don't. I I came across somebody who in my life who wanted to kind of shame me.
Hmm.
And I said to this person, I said, you can go ahead to the top of to the highest mountain in the world and tell everybody what you said I did or what you were
Hmm.
doing. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I will continue to live. I said, all I got to do is stand on a step and talk about what you did, and you will be crushed. I'm not going to do that to you. You know why? Because I don't need to. Tell everything you want to tell about me. God knows me, and the truth will stand. Where your lies and your desire to crush me will last that long.
Hmm.
I'm finally free enough, Tracy, that if somebody told all my business, all of it, the ugly, deep, dark stuff, stuff we push under the bed and in the closet, if somebody told all my business right now, I'll be like, yep, that's me.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the fact that the world has seen me go through that I no longer have to hide the pain. I no longer have to hide the shame. I no longer have to hide all the stuff that I've been hiding for years. I get to be free and I get to be happy.
Hmm.
I deserve that, and just like everybody else do. Never ever think for 1 minute. We can never ever think for 1 minute that we don't deserve to be happy and be free and full of joy and happiness.
Yeah.
Nobody has to be bound forever. That
Hmm.
ability to accept yourself, you know,
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but I'm looking at my hands. My hands don't look like they did when I was in my 20s. But
Mine don't either.
I see where these hands have worked and done and toiled. These hands are clapping and I'm grateful and can still snap and shake
Hmm.
and make food and hug and bring warmth and comfort and, you know, write up, create, still have creativity within it.
Hmm.
Still get to have all of that. Um, my face. You look at your face and, I don't look like, I look like myself in my 20s, but I've evolved. I see a line here, something, a line here, something that wasn't there before. When I was younger, I wouldn't have appreciated it, but now
You
that,
do.
yeah, that smile line that those smile lines,
Hmm.
he's smiling through my tears. The joy I get to have, the warmth
Hmm.
I get to exude on other people, it's because of all the stuff that I've been through, and I'm still here
Hmm.
standing. It's a joy to be happy and to be whole and be all right with your circumstances in your life. Yeah, your life may not be what you want it to be, but guess what? Somebody else is way off worse than you are.
Yes. Yes.
Gratitude, it's happiness, it's acceptance. I am very much, some people say, and some people get upset, some people might get upset with me. Let me say this too, Tracy.
Hmm.
I used to be afraid what people would say to me. And I remember I had people say stuff to me when I was younger. People don't say stuff to me that they would have said to me when I was younger now because of who I am and whose I am.
Hmm.
People that were very cavalier about how they said stuff don't treat me the exact same. My own family, I had to help them to understand that Javina and Vini are one and the same. But I'm Javina now at this age.
Hmm.
And so it kind of made it so where at this point in my life, I get that click back, that step back, that desire back, that happiness, that dreaming again. Remember, you said you stopped dreaming life, it got so bad? Exact same
Yes.
thing. The desire to be a whole and happy and seek after things and people and fulfillment and to be full and gregarious and at peace and all right. Journey in the path that we all gonna go down it different. But the realize that you on that journey.
So, Davina, let me ask you,
Mhm.
and we girl, we I don't even know how long we've been on here because every time we get together, our
Yes,
conversations be so good. I
I
and I
know. Mhm.
and I just I put my phone down, turned it on silent and everything. But I
Uh,
want to ask you because in the beginning, I did talk to the audience about my community on my website called Second Chancers. Do you feel like you have a second chance at life now?
I absolutely do, Tracy. I absolutely do.
That's
Because
awesome.
the setbacks, the disappointments, the heartaches, all of that. Yeah, I think I shared with you. My husband and I were together years ago. We separated for years, and we came back together. I wasn't looking to date or get married or nothing. I was perfectly happy, single, doing my own thing. And here he comes. I had never been married before. I've been engaged. I've been promised. I've been girlfriend up for years. My second chance began last year. Part of it was the career change. The other part of it was getting married. The other part of it was hoping and being and finding my happiness and peace. But the biggest part of it was increasing my territory with God and finding out that I still have something to offer, finding that I can love again, that I can grow again, that I can dream again, that I can envision things again, I literally uh, sat down and started writing more. I had stopped writing in my journals and things that I can imagine a different life. So, yes, I'm getting a second chance at life at 50. 5 years old, empowered with the wisdom and the strength and the grace and the humility to begin again
Mhm.
at this age. Sky's the limit, Tracy. Um, to have the opportunity to start over, to understand that it happens for other people in different parts of their life.
Mhm.
I'm in my second act at this point, and I'm ready to take the stage. Now, I'm still praying about that spotlight, though.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you about that spotlight because
Uh-huh.
um I never, even though I said I wanted to be a public speaker, and even though in my undergrad, before I became a teacher, I
Mm-hmm.
my college career in undergrad was preparing me for a career out front. Um, I started getting comfortable being in the background because
Mm-hmm.
being a plus size girly, um, whether you want to be in the background or not, sometimes you get pushed to the background.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I can remember my college professors used to call me the next Oprah Winfrey.
Yes.
And when that didn't happen for me, when I couldn't even get into television, I started the beginning of me not dreaming. I
Mm-hmm.
started to give up on things that I always said I wanted to do. Um, Now with technology and the development, we have the platform. I'm not paid to have a YouTube channel yet. But it's given me the opportunity to do things that I wanted to do. Interview people who I feel have value in their story and giving them an opportunity to share their story. I had given up on that being a part of my dream.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Being an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
having my own business, I had given up on that part of my dream when I started working for other people. When I went into corporate because I needed health insurance. But before that, I was doing real good on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into corporate young in my 20s. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to give up a huge part of who I was to do that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I love braids. I love my natural hairstyles. And I would go back and forth. I would go, straight, but then I would also do my braids. They
Mm-hmm.
call them cornrows. We call them French braids. We call
Yes.
them, the box
Uh,
braid things that
box
they call
braids.
them now.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
love braids. And
Yes. You
but
too.
because of discrimination, I had to conform.
Yep.
And so I slowly stopped dreaming
Yeah.
and I slowly started trying to extinguish the light that God had put in me. Um, I didn't want to call attention to myself because I had started losing parts of who I was naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And so now being able to have a platform,
Mm-hmm.
being able to get back to the things that bring me joy,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, is everything. Is
Yeah.
everything.
It
And
is.
so what I've learned though is that we're not really behind.
Mm-mm.
We're exactly where God wants us to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we had not experienced the things that we experienced, how could we be the leaders that He's designed us to be? Because you're a leader. People are watching you, people are following you, and you have something that that they can identify with.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you had not had the different experiences, you wouldn't be able to have the appeal
Mm-hmm.
to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are things that I've learned. And even with the wrinkles and everything, the creases, um, I've shared with my viewers and I've shared with you, I've lost over 222 pounds. Some
Mm-hmm.
of my changes in my skin are because the fat isn't there to hold that skin up anymore. So, exactly, exactly, you know,
Yes.
and so when we talked about things looking different, things look very different for me, because of the weight loss. But girl, I can tell you, I'm thankful for it.
Yes.
I'm thankful
Yes.
for it. Yeah, I got some sags and some bags, but I'm thankful for them.
Mhm. I
You
tell
know.
you, I tell you this, Tracy. So, 2023, I had hip replacement surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I was very active, running, jumping, doing all kinds of stuff. My grandson had me rolling one time. He had dared me during COVID. Everybody was in the house, we couldn't do much, and my grandson had been talking mess. And so I told him, I said, I'm gonna race you. Just okay. I got off of work. I was working from home. He was going to school. We got in the backyard, Tracy, and I got ready to race that joker. And I took that step on that left leg and almost crumbled. Now I
Wow.
finished up the race, but I had been in pain for years and I hadn't been paying attention to it. I thought, oh, I did something. This hip was giving me problems in high school, and I was in track. I did field events in high school. Like I said, I was athletic. I
Mm-hmm.
had not been paying attention to the pain that I was in for decades,
Yeah.
and it finally caught up with me. Yeah, I think I talked about this briefly. I took care of my mom when my mom was sick for years, and was ignoring me.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the same thing. I was ignoring the pain that I was in for years and
Mm-hmm.
masking it and covering it up and being busy
Mm-hmm.
and not realizing my new joy. Um, I had the hip replacement in 2023, and now I deal with neuropathy. And you and I've talked about it. And people say, "Oh, you diabetic?" So no, no, I had surgery, and that's how I got my neuropathy.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the neuropathy, Tracy, I still have my moments where I have a neuropathy and sciatica. Oh boy,
Yeah.
you got a Molotov cocktail there.
Mm-hmm.
But I move slower, I move more intent, but I'm happier and freer just to be able to move, just
Amen.
able to go and do. I've had to stop doing some things, but I had to start doing some things.
Yes.
I've gotten heavier. Excuse me, I'm gonna say it the way I ain't never been skinny, and
Mm-hmm.
I probably never will. But I'm finally at a place of peace where the role is there. I laugh and
Mm-hmm.
I say it's mine. If
Mm-hmm.
it's tight, I don't want to wear it. I'm
Yeah.
finally free to say I'm going to be happy in the skin that I'm in. And I'm
Mm.
going to be the best me I possibly can be in the skin that I'm in for the time that I have left. It's a
Yes.
and it's the freeing of God and of understanding that we all saved by grace. Nobody is better than anybody else. Nobody has the ability to say, I've done everything right. I've never made a mistake. It's in our
Mhm.
mistakes that make us
Yes.
of our humanity. It's the ability to see the humanity within other people and
Hmm.
love them at they good, they bad, and they all in between.
Yes.
Freedom is a beautiful thing.
It is.
Acceptance is a beautiful. Self-acceptance. Forgiveness is a beautiful thing. I've forgiven
Mm-hmm.
all those people in my past. I
Mm-hmm.
love them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for what happened in my life, but
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I can't walk around with hate. I am not, we live in a very turbulent time. I just can't hate nobody. Like you said earlier, hate is something I cannot absorb. I can't
Mm-hmm.
because there's too much beautiful life to live. There's too
Yeah.
many. You and I was talking about it. You see these young women out here now, and the things that you and I used to do when we were younger, cover it up. You don't be child. These babies out here living their best life. They let
Yeah.
the whole clothes and everything just hang. It all just be hanging out, and they
Mhm.
wearing their crop tops and they skinny, and they got on their half. They happy about it.
Girl, wait a minute. Now I'm gonna
Now,
interrupt
it don't
you
all look
because
good though, Tracy. Though.
yeah, but that takes me that I just had a flashing thought. One
Yes.
of my teaching partner before I retired, we
Hmm.
talked about, and she's probably your age. We're just a few years apart,
Yeah.
and we talked about how we were raised to wear slips and
And
undergarments,
girdles.
right?
And girdles. Yes, ma'am. Long line bras and all. Yes.
Girl, and how hard it was to find a slip now at the store to shop. You, it's almost impossible because people are just doing what they want to do now.
You're,
But
you're,
we feel some kind of way if we wear a dress and don't have a slip underneath it.
so I'll make.
We feel almost naked.
Yeah,
Like
we do because look. So I don't know if you knew this. So when we was, I'm gonna make you laugh about something that happened to me in high school. I'll never forget this. Remember half slips?
yes.
So I was in high school and I had lost weight and
Uh-huh.
I had this dress on and I had to put a slip on. Okay. So I'm walking through the hallways of Riverside and I got my and I'm feeling good because I done lost some weight and I'm walking around. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Baby, the elastic, I didn't realize that the elastic was messed up in the slip and the slip slid down as I'm walking in high school, walking through. Baby, the slip. I walked out that slip right there. I remember I snatched that slip, and it was like an off white. Because remember they used to make us wear white or off white or
Yep.
black or that
Yep.
taupe, that ugly taupe. And
Yes.
I snatched that slip, walked over to my locker, threw it in there, and kept on going about my business. So
Mm-hmm.
in today's life, Tracy, I
And you know what? I started laughing because you told before you even got through the story because I knew what you were gonna say because it happened to me, but it happened at church.
oh my god, oh my gosh, Eh, what? See, see, remember girdles. I told somebody I've been wearing a girdle since I was probably 12 years old.
I didn't start wearing them until I got older, and
Mm-hmm.
actually after I lost the weight because
Mm-hmm.
I had to have something to support my back with this,
Mm-hmm.
because I got the extra skin now.
Right, right.
And so I had to have something to help support me. And
Mm-hmm.
I escaped wearing a girdle because even though I was thick and
Mm-hmm.
big, I carried it well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Mm-hmm.
like you, I was athletic.
Yep.
And so I didn't have to wear them and didn't wear them. Um
Mm-hmm.
and I was fortunate that way.
You were fortunate.
I was fortunate that way, but I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
escape wearing a slip.
Oh,
I
okay.
couldn't escape wearing a slip.
Yeah.
And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I
But yeah,
remember. I remember being a teenager, Tracy, and my grandmother would walk past me, and she would kind of touch,
mm-hmm,
and she could tell if I said I had it on and I didn't. She could tell. In our
mm-hmm,
family, it was expected, and that was remember I was talking about expectation.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh, yeah, I like I said, I was 12 years old and I had to start wearing one. I remember after I had my daughter, do you know my aunt, my great aunt, my grandmother's sister brought a girdle to the hospital for me to put on
Ah,
right after I had my baby. Oh yes, in my family, after you had a baby, you had to put a girdle on because you had to start. You need to get your shape back. You need to get
mm-hmm,
your form back.
mm-hmm.
Baby, I would have them on so tight. There were times I'd be walking and feel like I'm gonna pass out. They were so tight, but I look good.
Ooh,
Oh, I look good. I look,
mm-hmm,
everything was just. And I told somebody, I said, you couldn't tell me nothing in my 20s, 30s, and I was big fine all my life, and still, you really
mm-hmm.
can't tell me nothing now. Um,
Yeah.
but we did all these things to make ourselves look a certain, and it did feel good when you look good. So
Hmm.
I'm real big on making sure that you feel good about yourself. So if you need to slap some rouge on, as my grandmother used to say, rouge up, get up,
Yep.
and keep on going.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
do what you got to do. If
Hmm.
it's looking at you, I told somebody, I said, I got real with myself. I had that moment where I
Hmm.
got absolutely naked in the mirror. Now some people, I know people say, oh, I couldn't look at myself. I had to look at myself naked because I had to start doing the work that I kept
Hmm.
on putting off and pushing down and pushing under the rug. And I had to do the work. So I had to look at myself absolutely naked and accept who I am right now, being who I was. And I have no problem with getting absolutely naked and looking at the real me, because accountability, I got to be honest with myself. I can lie to the rest of the world, but I got to be honest with myself, and I got to be honest with God.
Yep, yep. Girl, that's a jewel right there. That's a
That's
jewel right there.
it.
Yeah.
That's
But
oh
you
my
know what?
uh-huh.
I'm gonna tell you, we gonna have to do this again
Absolutely. I
because
look forward to
we're
it.
gonna have to do this again because I got all wait a minute, the audience couldn't see, but this we didn't get through a fraction of that. But
Oh,
we gonna have to have Miss Javina come back again, y'all. And I am a firm believer. I don't know who's gonna see this, but I know you're gonna be blessed. And if you've made it to this point in our broadcast, I know you're gonna be blessed. And that's my prayer always is that whoever follows me on my platforms, that whatever content I produce is inspiration, encouragement, and blessing. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Javina for taking time and just being so open to sharing parts of her story. You haven't heard the whole thing, but what you've heard tonight, I know is going to bless you. And I just want to thank you, Javina, for being open and sharing um, and letting the spotlight be on you. And I just want to welcome you to the Second Chancers community. And thank you for being our guest tonight on Tracy Going with the Flow. And I just want to encourage anyone who sees this video, please don't hesitate to um, comment, engage, ask questions, share your thoughts about what you heard tonight. And we will make sure, I will make sure that Javina, um, if you have questions for her, if you have words of encouragement, words of appreciation, I'll make sure that she is made aware and gets to respond. So I want to thank you again for stopping by and checking in on us. I want to wish you peace, love, and happiness. And I'm going to put the link to my website in the comment section so that you can get over to Second Chancers. It's a brand new community, but I'm building it up. And if you are someone who is in a second season, a new season of your life, I want to encourage you to get over there and introduce yourself and start making some connections. So, Javina, I told you I'm at that stage where I got to put them on or take them off. So I'm going to put them on now so I can
yeah,
hit that button that stops the recording.
yeah.
And I tell my viewers that I'm real on this channel. I have not mastered editing yet. And so when I hit this button, it's going to stop recording. But I want you all to know how much I appreciate you coming on and stopping by our channel. Thank you. Have a good night.
Peace and blessings.